Welcome to Used Car News Podcast. Used Car News is your top source for fast and reliable news that car dealers can rely on for this evolving industry. Here are this month's top stories. Futurist shows how AI will shape future of business. State honors veteran quality dealer. Collections remain critical for success. But first, we'll hear from Jeff Baker, owner of Car City and chairman of the NIADA Buy Here, Pay Here Commission.
Hey, welcome everyone to the Used Car News Podcast. Again, my name is Jeff Bellant. I'm managing editor of Used Car News. And this month we have a great guest, a guy you might be familiar with if you're in the Buy Here, Pay Here world or familiar with the NIADA, and that's Jeff Baker, owner of Car City Supercenter in Grand Rapids. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, we appreciate you there. Jeff Baker, he's got some kind of interesting stuff. For folks who weren't at NIADA this summer, he was named, they brought back the kind of Buy Here, Pay Here Commission as a separate group, and he is going to be the president. He was named the president of the group for that first year to get it kick-started again. And so we're going to be asking him about that. But let me start out with you, Jeff, in Car City Supercenter. How long have you been in business there?
We started Car City in 1991.
Okay.
Hard to remember exactly anymore, you know.
Yeah, the older we get, the harder it is, right? Hey, how many stores do you have?
9.
Wow, that's incredible. You still have one in South Bend?
I do.
Wow, but the rest are in Michigan.
Yeah, we have one in Indiana and the rest are Michigan. You're right.
Excellent. Now, these are these all the same business model? I know that you, for people who don't know, you used to be Buy Here, Pay Here, and now you're Lease-here, Pay Here?
Yeah, that's correct. We switched to the lease model 20 years ago, and all the lots, same model. You know, we don't do any retail. We don't do any, we have service centers, but just for reconditioning. We don't outside service model. So yeah, they're all pretty much the same, other than the main location in Grand Rapids that's where we do all the administrative, and so that's where most of the employees is there. The other eight lots are focused on sales, so it's a sales driven kind of model. Yeah.
And with Lease-here, Pay Here, are you doing like 2 or 3 year contracts?
God, I wish that was true, but no, we're writing 4-year leases.
Yeah, I was going to say with Buy Here, Pay Here, it's the same way. It used to be like, oh, you never go over 2 years. Now it's like, yeah, you wish. And then you still get a down payment and a monthly payment, correct?
Yep. No, we do all monthlies. And
how many cars do you lease in a given year?
About 4,000.
And how often do the people buy the car at the end of the lease?
Virtually everybody who, makes it to the end buys it out. I mean, a minuscule number actually get turned back in. There's certainly a pretty high percentage that buy the lease out early, right?
Oh, nice.
They get to a point where their balance makes sense and they can trade out. And so sometimes they trade with us, and certainly some of them trade. Their credit's improved and they trade with oftentimes a new car dealer. We'll get a payoff check from them. So.
Okay. So you guys, a lot of times when people do Lease-here, Pay Here, it really depends on the state laws. Is that what changed for you, that the laws became a better deal with Lease-here, Pay Here? Or?
I wish I was that smart. I'm just fortunate that Michigan is a state that the leasing works well because of the sales tax, use tax situation.
Okay.
But I actually went into the leasing. This goes so far back when the world of starter interrupt came into being, and there was so much angst and litigation conversation about those that it made more sense to me that, because I wanted to use starter interrupt technology, it just made more sense to me from a compliance and regulatory perspective to do it from a lease environment where I own the car as opposed to a Buy Here, Pay Here.
Oh, I got you. Because you're not taking someone else's car, you're taking your car, I guess, right?
So yeah, so I just felt more comfortable. So that's why I developed my lease model.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And ultimately, as you and I know, the whole world of starter interrupt has, found its mature place in the industry. And those concerns I had were kind of ill-founded, but I stuck with the lease here payer because there are some advantages with the sales tax, use tax, and we get treated better in bankruptcy court when we are there than you are in a traditional buy here payer situation. So
Very good. Very good. Okay, cool. Now, you guys, let's switch gears for a little bit. Oh, one last thing. How's your year been this year?
the world of collections and getting your payments, we're back to pre-COVID numbers, and I think there's a lot of strain on our customers due to the inflationary pressures that are in society that you and I experience when we go to the grocery, and
Of
it's
course, yeah.
housing has gotten crazy, and there's a lot of pressure on our customers. So that piece of the business is
Yeah.
difficult. We're working harder and being, trying to find more creative ways to work with our customers. And the sales side, that side's fine. We're up. Sales are probably up, I don't know, 8-10% this year. So, but
Deal. Okay.
but the back, selling them is not the key. Collecting them is the key.
Exactly. Exactly. You're not in the sales business, you're in the collections business for sure.
AI. Terrifying, thrilling, or both? That's how futurist Steve Brown kicked off his talk at the National Auto Auctions World Remarketing Convention. For most people, it's a mix of excitement and fear, he said. Fair enough, AI's reshaping everything. Brown, a former Google DeepMind exec, broke it down. We've built machines to handle physical labor, but now we're creating electrical minds to tackle knowledge work. Think generative AI, tech that can turn text into images, videos into transcripts, and even design 3D spaces. And robots? They're coming. Affordable, tireless, and ready to fill millions of open jobs. This could be bigger than the auto industry, Brown said. Last month, the Ohio Independent Automobile Dealers Association made history by honoring it. They gave their Lifetime Achievement Award to 100-year-old World War II veteran Stan Maybrook, a man whose life reads like a novel, and named Joe Kask Jr. of Magic City Motor Cars as Ohio Quality Dealer of the Year. Stan's story? Incredible. From storming Omaha Beach in 1944 to recovering from a battlefield injury that left his arm paralyzed, he's lived through it all. After the war, he built businesses, befriended the Rat Pack in Miami, and co-founded the Columbus Fair Auto Auction. At 100, he's still selling cars. Joe's journey is no less inspiring. Starting with a tiny lot in Barberton, Ohio, he and his late wife, Christine, built their dealership from scratch through 9/11, the 2008 crash, and personal tragedy. Now, with his sons and new wife Paula, Joe's business is thriving, giving back to the community that supported them for 25 years. 2 men, 2 legacies, both worth celebrating. Collections work isn't for the faint of heart, and at this summer's NIADA convention, panelists didn't hold back sharing their biggest mistakes and lessons learned. Bob Zesserson from Shannon Motors recalled his collections manager's early days. She believed every story, doctor's visits, rehab, you name it. Then she checked the GPS. Florida. Her takeaway? Assume everyone's playing you until proven otherwise. Chris Gross of Northwest Acceptance agreed. Believing customers without verifying? That's where the trouble starts. And then there's Jerry Resendez from Thunderbird Auto Finance, who let sympathy override judgment. We let a customer redeem their account. 4 hours later, totaled the car. Never again. Lessons: verify everything, trust sparingly, and always stick to your policies.
All right, so let's switch to the Buy Here Pay Here Commission. The Buy Here Pay Here Commission, remember, was regular a few years ago, and then you mentioned to me off the podcast that they had kind of absorbed it in a different committee. Now this year, Don Griffin, president, kind of brought it back as a separate body and named you president, or obviously asked you to be president to kick it, start it for this year. What's that? How does that work for you? Why is that a good thing?
So, one, I'm not the president, I'm the chairman, but
I'm sorry. Yes, correct.
no,
Thank you.
no worries there. But so the buyer payer commission originally goes back to when there was so much concern about the CFPB, which, after Dodd-Frank is coming into being, and we're not sure where we fit, and are we a target, and are we ready, and there was a lot of reasons to be focused on mostly that
Yes.
regulatory piece of this puzzle. And in the CFPB, I don't know that they totally understood our
No.
industry. So
No.
so that's what the commission was all about. So that kind of started, the CFPB found its direction. We started to understand what our role in compliance was going to be. And, as you know, the world of compliance is all much, much bigger piece of our businesses than it was
For
15
sure.
years ago. So then I don't remember exactly when they rolled the buyer payer commission into I think with the legislative committee. But now, Don, it's like, I think part of what Don is seeing is, there's been last year alone, there was, I think, 5 different state areas where there was new legislation popping up related to our industry again. And, Don's like, I think, we're better off to have a group of people that are trying to stay out in front of that
Yes.
as opposed to being behind it. You're always better off to be proactive than reactive. And I think that's the reason he's like, let's get this back together. And the reality is, there's a plenty of really good dealers that are very interested in their business and are interested in the industry and are willing to put their time in. Nobody obviously gets paid to do this, but it's important enough that we'll put our time into it. So that's kind of the reason we got it back going. And we got another meeting coming up here in early December, and so hopefully we can get the ball rolling as far as some new ideas on how we can be proactive for our industry.
Perfect. And folks, if you're interested, buy here, pay your dealers are interested, definitely reach out to NIADA and ask them about that. Maybe you can help out the commission. Maybe also, especially if you hear something in your state or your jurisdiction that is a challenge for buy here, pay your dealers, definitely let them know, and they'll check it out on your behalf. And for folks, Don Griffin, we're talking about him, but he's president of NIADA this year, and of course, buy here, payer. So that's good. Now, speaking of Buy Here Payer, last month in November, we had a big conference, the Buy Here Payer Forum in Nashville, and I understand you attended that.
I did. It was interesting, and I couldn't hardly imagine that I was looking out the window of the beautiful hotel there, watching snow fly in Nashville. I
Oh
was just
no,
I
oh
was just
no,
amazed.
that would
But other
stink.
than that, it was it's a great format that they've put together, and the dealer panels that they do. I sat in one that was chaired by Alan White, who and virtually everybody in the room I've known at some point in my 30 plus years in this business. But it's
Mhm.
still, I walked out after 3 hours in there. I walked out with 3 pages of notes. I immediately, the next morning called the guys back at the store with new ideas that, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. That's the beautiful part of, to me. I tell everybody, I'm not sure I've ever had any original ideas. All my best ideas I stole from somebody sitting in a room with a bunch of guys that are a whole lot smarter than me. And, that's just an opportunity for you to do that. And, if you're interested in your business and improving your business, there's nothing better than sitting around with a bunch of other guys doing the same thing that, at least in my history, they're all a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, I was going to say it's like football coaches. Nothing's new, but they all share their ideas and get their ideas from each other. And it's funny. as a reporter covering these things, I love the dealer panels because what you end up with, kind of like what you said, you end up with 3 or 4 dealers sharing their ideas. So it's almost like you're getting 3 or 4 totally different sets of circumstances. Maybe the one doesn't fit you, but the other one does. And then even in the Q&A, you'll have people in the audience who will share something they're doing. And it really is like they always say it, and it's true. If you go into these conferences, you come out with one idea, it pays for the conference, and then maybe more, you know?
Oh, I certainly have had many that paid way more. And, one of my favorites, it was actually, at a coffee break. I'm standing there getting my cup of coffee and I'm chatting with somebody I just met, and this topic comes up and I'm going, God, it's just driving me nuts. It's costing me all this money. And he goes, well, here's what I do. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Save me, I think $500,000 a year
Oh
just
my
getting my
goodness.
cup of coffee. It's like as long as you got your ears open and you're trying to and you're trying to improve your business, it's out there. You just, as long as you're looking for it, you'll find it. So, like you
Really
said,
good.
I am a big believer.
That is excellent. Very good. So is that something that you're interested in? You'll be part of that next year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So again, it seems like it's been a good year for you, challenging in the on the idea of collections. What are you looking at next year? I mean, do you have any idea of what's going on next year? I mean, it sounds like it'll be interesting with tax time. It sounds like taxes will be interesting. I wonder. I don't know how that'll affect inflation, but what do you think about 2026? What are you guys playing for? Because I know you look ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are hopeful that, tax season might be a little stronger.
Hmm.
All indications are that it should be, although most prognosticators also think it's going to be a little later than normal, but that's fine. Timing's not 100% critical. So
Never is. Yeah.
So
For you
we're
guys.
we're
Oh,
we're trying to lean into that a little bit because that can, with some new ideas on how to help us on the collection side with the tax side, even more so than leaning into the sales piece of the puzzle. So, but other than that, the continued pressure on the customer, we do think the cost of vehicles is going to soften a little bit, so that, you know, should help. We've seen some easing in our ability to hire, skilled folks. So that's nice.
oh,
That's seems to eased up a little bit. I would hope that some of those things come together. We can maybe see some better results next year. Along with, I don't think there'll be any problem with sales because I feel like some of the lenders in the subprime space above us, they're feeling a little bit of pain. I get the sense that they're maybe tightening their scorecards a little bit.
yeah. Doesn't that happen? It happens in cycles all the time, and it obviously benefits you guys.
So that, yeah, exactly. So that we should see some benefit from that, but you got to be prepared for it.
A couple of things you mentioned: hiring skill. What are you talking about there?
So it's, technicians, collection staff. It
I was
seems
going to
like
ask you
our
about. I'm sorry. I was going to ask you about the technicians. Is that because I know that's been a really a tough situation over the last few years, but you're seeing that loosen up a little bit?
in our world, we're actually seeing that our ability to find to find and hire technicians has we're able to get some guys on board, and so yeah, that's easing a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say you saw that announcement from Farley there at Ford saying they're like they need like 120,000 auto mechanics, through Ford, and that's just the franchises. Yeah. And what about interest rates? When interest rates move, did you see a response to that? I assume it's probably delayed, but does that affect you? I gotta believe it does.
The only the only real effect that I see is what it cost me for my own borrowing.
Oh, okay.
I've never really correlated interest rate moves to what happens with my business
With
much.
retails, you mean, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with the consumers, you're saying.
Yeah, I've
Okay,
never
gotcha.
tied. And maybe it's because we're so far kind of down the food chain that
Yeah, yeah.
by the time that ripple gets to us, you really don't even see it. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's obviously there's issues with those consumers anyway. So it's like interest rate's probably not a huge deal. It's not going to make a big difference.
Yeah, my customers aren't necessarily shopping interest rates. No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I always love when Chuck Bonanno would say, like, this, people think, oh, this is a crisis, but our customers think, oh, this is just Tuesday, Well, good. I appreciate it. Well, so Kenny, you got your plate full of the Buy Here, Pay Here Commission. Do you guys have an agenda in December? What you're going to be talking about?
Just more of the how do we get the NIADA organization kind of up on its toes, leaning, how do we help make it proactive?
Yeah, gotcha.
Those ideas are what we're trying to lean into.
Okay. And yeah, it's important because I know that nowadays, in recent years, Buy Here, Pay Here does make up a big chunk of the NIADA membership, more than it used to, as far as I understand.
I don't know those numbers. That's an interesting question. I don't know, how much of the NIADA is made up of, and there's more and more guys that are, Buy Here, Pay Here and retail and kind of.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point. That would skew them one way or the other. Well, excellent, Jeff. I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to add, but I really appreciate your time here, giving us up to date. Again, the Buy Here, Pay Here Commission is a big deal. And again, Buy Here, Pay Here dealers in the NIADA or even out of NIADA, this is a good chance to kind of get involved. Again, finding out a little information about what's going on in that part of the industry, but also you can help NIADA and the Buy Here, Pay Here Commission if you hear something in your state that's going on, whether it be with starter interrupts or collections or things like that, marketing or whatever, or kind of the ways that they're regulators are going after dealers to kind of warn the folks on the commission that this is coming. And of course, looking forward to a good year in 2026, where the NIADA will be in Denver next year, correct?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It seems like it's been in Vegas forever, so I think it'll be fun going to Denver.
I hear you. That'll be excellent. Well, listen, Jeff Baker of Car City Supercenter in Grand Rapids, and again, chairman of the Buy Here, Pay Here Commission for NIADA. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for giving us a little update about what's going on, not just in your business, but with NIADA and with the Buy Here, Pay Here world.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate all the work you do and what you do for our industry. So keep up the good work.
All right. You too. Happy Thanksgiving and have a great holiday, buddy.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Used Car News Podcast. Each month, we'll bring you fast and reliable news that car dealers can rely on for this evolving industry. For a free subscription of Used Car News, please go to usedcarnews.com. This podcast is a production of BG Ad Group. Make sure to share us on social media and like and follow wherever you get your podcasts.